Rahubat Moisa, greetings family. Ashuk, Ashuk, Ashuk. That's divine love. Welcome everyone once again to another Ask Us Anything on OSM Vision. And of course, as usual, we want to give thanks, our love, our shuk to the master teacher, Partner Babyanun, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York. Yeah, the reformer for this day and time, the guide, the one who has been teaching us and putting out information to help humanity evolve in consciousness. All right. Before we get into the Q&A, into the questions in the comments, we want to let you know that to show how much we appreciate, love your support, if we get 150 people on this live, we're going to give away 5 free membership to the channel. Yeah, the members know already, you get all the content first. Everything that's going on, you get it first. You know, you get all the discounts, you get everything first. So, you know, being a member, it's a fantastic thing. You get all the privileged content first, all the behind the scenes, you know. So yeah, if we get 150 members today, we're giving away 5 free membership to the channel. And you can help by sharing the link, letting everyone know we're live. And yeah, this is your opportunity to become a member of OSM Vision, because our souls matter. All right. Okay, let's see who's on. Rahubat. Remember to let us know where you're located, where you're tuning in from. All right, Trevor Mobutuma, Rahubat. Dorinda, Rahubat. Rita 442, Rita M442, Rahubat. Roderick, Rahubat. From Trinidad, Rahubat. Pharaoh, of course. Regular, Rahubat. Who else we got? Yabani Ra. Shalom. He says shalom from Las Vegas. Shalom. Salam. Salam alaikum. Rahubat, as we say in Wu-Sabat. Shalom lakum. Chinyere 19, I9U. Rahubat. Circuit Ra, Rahubat. North Carolina in the house. All right, we're gonna get into it. Remember, you can also ring in live. Oh, Rahubat family on TikTok. Rahubat. Greetings to you all. You know, it's a pleasure and an honor once again. We're still here. We're grateful. We give gratitude for another day, and to continue to spread the good news of Wu-Sabat. And that's all we're doing. We're sharing knowledge that's going to help you, that's going to help everyone that needs the truth so they can actually evolve, you see. So we're grateful, and we're thankful to have another day, another week. We're working constantly to get this information out to the world, and you can help us by liking, sharing, subscribing. Hit that notification bell so we can keep you updated on everything that's going on. You'll be alerted first. And most of all, please join the channel, become a member. And today we're going to give away 5 free membership to the channel. So let's get that 150 live views, and then how we're gonna do it? Randomly pick people?
It's 5 random.
5 random people to make it fair, you know. So we're gonna toss or spin the wheel.
YouTube picks it.
Okay, YouTube will pick it, yeah. So that's good. All right, we got another new member today. Well done, Rahubat. I think that's Tank Doubt bullies. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, Jeremiah, Youngblood, Rahubat. Rick Jones in the house, Rahubat. Yeah. And Drem, Michael, Rahubat. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you all too for, really, we're living in a day and time, whether people know it or not, right? We're living in a day and time where we're evolving. Not the physical you. Your physical you is always evolving anyway because you're aging, you're growing, right? You're expanding. But we're in a day and time where you're evolving consciously, meaning that the higher levels, the higher beings of you is now evolving, but not everyone is switched on to evolve to this new state of consciousness. And what Wu-Sabat does is help you to do that. And obviously the warner, the master teacher, Partner Babyanun, putting all this information out is to help you to do just that, to evolve into what we know as a supreme being, a higher conscious being. But it's up to you how far, what level you want to attain and arise to. So, it is do it yourself, DIY, but at the same time, you have all the tools that you need to be able to do that. So don't waste your time. Just focus on studying and learning about you. As usual, I need my Miss Iris Moss to just get me, healthy and charged up, because we're going into the winter months now here in the UK. Ah, that's so refreshing. We're going into the winter months, which means that a lot of viruses, colds, and all kinds of things are about. So you need to get your immune system up, get your vitamins and your I know Americans, you say vitamins, get your minerals, get the elderberries, get everything to help you, that black seed oil, to help you build a strong immune system. That vitamin C, make sure that you're getting yourself well prepared to defend against these bugs that go around during this time of the year. Okay, let's get into it. Rahubat, everyone. The first question or comment is from Dorinda. I'm loving Tuesdays with Saken. Greetings. I have some confusion about angels. Are there angels on the Anunnaki side, like Abrahamic religions, and on our side with Riskians? How should we view them? Great question. The first thing is to always, first of all, break down what people know currently as angels, right? Most of what people know as angels come from by way of religions, by way of the Bible, by way of the Quran, by way of religious books. And particularly from the Catholic initially, right? Branch of Christianity. And what happened is Michelangelo painted in the Sistine Chapel on the ceiling a picture of God and angels. And the angels are depicted with, like chubby babies and other size beings with wings. Okay? Excuse me. The first thing you have to realize that it's no coincidence that it was painted on the ceiling, because it has you looking up. Because the view that most people have or were given was that God was up in heaven. And so when people say heaven or God or angels, people look up because they're literally telling you that because they have wings, that they come from above, all right? Above, from heaven. And they are God's messengers. They're the hosts that surround the throne in heaven. And so when angels are spoken about in these religions, they're telling you that they come down here and they give you descriptions of them wearing white robes. And so you got two types of images. You got the cherubs and what we say the cherubim and the seraphim, okay? And good and bad, okay? And so your mental image of angels were people coming down, like when the angel Gabriel came down and visit Mary to tell her about she has been chosen from all women to be the mother of Jesus, and in the Quran where he came to Muhammad wearing a white robe. So the thing you have to think of is, why did they do that? The first thing is, in ancient times, if something came from above, the only thing they could relate to was with wings would be birds, or anything that can come down or fly up was birds. This is the reason why you have the concept of angels with wings. But we know that when you start to ask the question, how far up can the best bird fly, right? You're going to say the eagle, some might say the phoenix, but none of those birds can go to heaven or fly to heaven. And humans do not have wings and can fly literally 6 miles above the planet Earth. You wouldn't be able to breathe. All right, so the concept of angels in the Bible and as you've been taught is incorrect. What they're really talking about are extraterrestrials, yeah? And these extraterrestrials are spoken about throughout these same books, these religious books. They talk about their crafts, they describe them as dragons, fiery dragons. So if you imagine a craft coming down, or they talk about like Ezekiel's will, the visions that Daniel saw. You look at the books of Revelation talking about the crystal city, and these beings come and they take on human form, and they walk and they talk, they eat, and they relay messages. All right. So when you're asking the question about you said I have some confusion about angels. Are there angels on the Anunnaki side, like the Abrahamic religions, and on our side with Riskians? So we are all angels, right? Even though the word angels comes from the word angelos in Greek, but when you go, like I said before, into the other books, the Hebrew, etc., you're getting Shamayim being up, and Samawati in Arabic being up, and you're dealing with cherubim and seraphim, or we say agreeable and disagreeable beings. So every single race, every single culture have beings. You yourself, if you think about it, we have good, or people refer to agreeable and disagreeable as good and bad, but it's just two sides where you have positive and negative, right? When you're dealing with energy. So you have those beings that lean more to a disagreeable side and they do disagreeable things. And you have beings that lean to a positive side and they do agreeable things. And so in the stories of the Bible, in heaven, there was a rebellion, right? They tell you. And you had one side who were, as I said, the seraphim being the good ones, where you're saying Michael, who is also an angel, he's referred to as the archangel. And depending on which culture or which scripture you're reading, their names change. So he said Michael, read Revelation 12, all the way to 12:7 when there was a rebellion. And he said Michael and his angels, or angelos, that's the word, Greek word, fought against the dragon, right? This was with the dragon being the draconians, being from the Draco or Draco constellation, where you get Drac and Dracula coming from, right? These are reptilian species. And the dragon or Dracon, right? It's spelled with a K or a C because phonetically, these beings fought against Michael, and the dragon and his angels fought. And if you read the whole story, it tells you they were defeated, right? And then they were cast down here to the planet. And then when you go to like Genesis 6:4, it's talking about the Nephilim or the Nephilims. They came down here as well. They were cast down here. And when they came down here, they took the daughters of men. Tells you the sons of God took the daughters of men, and they had offspring. And in order to be able to have offspring, you have to have the same amount of chromosomes so that you can produce children. You see, so if you don't, you're going to have incompatibilities, and the offspring is going to be different. So it tells you they had children. And it then goes on to say they began to multiply, and the wickedness that these disagreeable ones were doing was so bad that it grieved the Lord that he had created them. And then eventually he went about trying to punish them and wipe them off the planet with various methods, most of them being drowning or through floods, right? So on the planet today, everyone walking around is also an angel. You could be a disagreeable angel or an agreeable angel. And why do we say that? Because it tells you that God, who is in heaven, breathed into man, and man became a living soul, or you're becoming a living soul if you are able to transform from being disagreeable. Because the reason you're down here in the first place is because you disobeyed the laws or the commandments of being in heaven. So you were cast down here, we were cast down here. And so you're here to learn the lessons to be able to be agreeable again, to be, if you want to use the word, a good angel. So you have two opposite sides continuously, where the disagreeable people. That's why when we talk about people that are going to be wiped out, or people that have been judged already, it's not everyone. It's, if you look at, no matter what, these words like black and white and so forth, when we're dealing with people on the planet, these are labels that were created, but really you're dealing with the essence of the being. So if the soul is in you, then that part of you is the angelic part of you, if it comes from God and you think or say that God is good. But the reality is that you have good gods and bad gods, or we say angels and good angels, bad angels, good extraterrestrials or bad extraterrestrials. And you see it play out throughout the book, where the bad god or gods are telling you to do, or you watch their actions and they're doing disagreeable things. They don't know very much, and they act in a jealous manner. They get angry, they punish people, they create things like hell. They want to, they want sacrifices, they want blood sacrifices, animal sacrifices. They want you to appease them in order for you to gain their favor, ultimately then to be allowed into heaven. And if you don't, they're going to banish you to the place called hell. So that manifests on the planet by the actions that you see people do. So if you're a person or a being that is not partaking in the disagreeable things, like the low vibration things, like the mental diseases, the jealousy, the anger, the enmity, the racism, the hate, the unaliving of people, the wars. If you're not about that, then you're leaning towards being a seraphim, which is the good side or the agreeable side. If you're about unity, love, sharing, let's care about the planet, care about each other, let's unite, let's work together, let's evolve as humanity to do great things that will benefit everyone. It's very clear which side you stand on. Do you want to promote and share truth, positivity, health, all the good things that will help people? Or are you on the other side dealing with greed, dealing with, chaos? Or do you prefer harmony and love and unity? You see, so this is the things that are going on the planet, and everyone's got to decide and align themselves with which part of your nature is dominant in terms of what you're doing in the world. And so you can be an angel, a disagreeable, or an agreeable. Okay, so yeah, I hope that helps. So when Riskians, they are of the agreeable, yeah? But you also, when you say Riskians, we have to be very clear, because risk is a place, and there were different beings residing on Risk. It's like saying Londoners, but within the place, Risk, the planet, or they say the city London, you have all types of different beings, and you have beings that are unseen as well as beings that are seen. There are beings that are disembodied, meaning they don't have the flesh, the skin suit anymore, and they've been unalived, but they're still roaming here because they're trapped here. Read Revelations 18:2. It tells you about, the foul spirits or the foul birds that are here because they've been quarantined here, and you can't leave here unless you transform. And that transformation is what Wu-Sabat is here to do for you by way of Partner Babyanun, the master teacher, who is also that angel that we're talking about when we say Michael or Murdoch or Yanun. All right? Okay, so I hope that answers that question for you, Dorinda. Let's keep going. Really don't want to miss this. That's from Trevor. Trinidad in a house. All right, let's see. Here's another question. This is from Chinyere, I9U. Grateful for this platform. Thank you. Yes, I want to know the proper view of angels too. Some are saying they are just aliens, beings called angels. For 9 ether, what is their role if they exist? That's what I'm saying. I already answered that, to be honest. We are all angels. But what type of angel are you? Even when you watch the movie called Fallen with Denzel Washington and who's the other main actor? But anyway, the movie Fallen, it shows you how, beings come here that they some are referred to as fallen angels because they fell. Nafala, that's what the word means. When you say Nafala or the Nephilims or the Nephilim, these are beings that fell down or they came down from above down. Yeah? They come in crafts, they can take on human form, etc., etc. It depends on what extraterrestrials we're referring to, because there are so many different species. We speak about the reptilians a lot, but there are different species of reptilians. We speak about the greys. We speak about, again, different species of greys. We speak about Anunnaki. They're really known by many names like Anakites, the Anakites, Anak. We speak about the Pleiadians, the Ashtar Command, the Deros, the Teros, the Duanis, and people say things like, how can they be extraterrestrial if they live in the center of the earth or in Shambhala? It's because many of them came here and they've settled here, just like we are here. And as I keep saying, that part of you that is not from here, meaning when you cross over or are unalived, the part of you, you have different parts, obviously, like your spirit, your soul, your etheric being. Those parts of you can then transcend upwards or go to the levels that they can go to, because you're dealing with different forms of energy. The physical you is made up of the elements in this three-dimensional, the lower vibration or the physical material plane, you see. So the concept of angels that you get from the Bible, and it doesn't make sense, because think about it. I already said that they tell you angels wear white robes when they come. The question is, if they're not physical, why would they need to wear a robe? And we in Wu-Sabat, when you use critical thinking, you want to go into the details, like what's the material of the white robes that they're wearing made of? Is it silk? Is it cotton? Like what is it? And then you go even further and you start to see this picture, like if there are different heights, different sizes, different weights of extraterrestrials or angels, who's measuring them to make the gowns, the white robes? Someone has to make them. But how do you make something if it's material and cloth? If it's from wool, then, or cotton, someone has to pick the cotton. So is cotton growing in heaven? But people will make it and spook it out and just, everything's possible. It's just, no, like, explain it. And is there a tailor? Why do you need to cover yourself? If you're just energy and just spirit or an unseen being, why do you need to wear clothes? What are you covering? What is it that you're wearing clothes to cover? You see, so with a critical mind, critical thinking, you have to break and decipher things to the point where it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, that's because something's not right. You know, you'll have the ability to discern things. And when you start to look at it, like, you can't eat food, because it tells you the angels that came and visit Abraham, he prepared food for them. Meat, in fact, to eat. And, well, animals, shall I say, to eat. And even when they said that Jesus came back from the dead and he was in the upper room, it was like, give me something to eat. And they ate. So to eat means you need to have a digestive system, something that's going to break down the food. And do you know what I mean? It's like they make you not use your own mind to the point where you have to make things make sense. All right, so that's just reiterating the question for you, Chinure, in terms of the angels thing. Don't see things from that, you know, religious mindset, because it was designed to have you in awe, to have you worshipping and looking up to the people that are supposedly the only ones that speak to God and speak to the angels and so forth. So you feel like you don't have a connection, but you do, because God is a part of you, if indeed he blew into you as a man and you became a living soul. All right. Remember, if we get 150, we're on our way there. If we get 150 live viewers today, we are going to give away 5 free membership, so that 5 lucky people, we're going to choose, YouTube will choose them randomly, and we will give away 5 membership to OSM Vision. So you get all the perks, you get all the content, everything first. You the premiere stuff, you get it all first. All right. So help us to reach 150 live. We're going to make it. It looks like. Share this link. Remember, you can call in live as well, and we'll take your questions live. I appreciate love everyone supporting and pushing Wu-Sabat out there. All right. Okay, next question. Rahubat. In the Holy Tablets, page 517, Birth of Melchizedek, can you explain the connection of this story to Enki and Ningishzida? I do have the Holy Tablets here. Let me see if I can see what you're talking about. Page 517, you say, yeah? Okay, here we go. Okay, let's read it a little bit. The birth of Melchizedek. And Methuselah said to the people, here is Ner, also Num-Num-Ner, okay? So Num-Num-Ner is Enlil. Num-Num-Ner, the vessel by which he was to be born on earth, being without earthly mother or father. 90, he will be in front of your face from the present day as the guide of the princes of the earth, the children of the Elohim, whom the chosen people of Israel shall worship. 91, and the people answered Methuselah, let it be so for us, and the word of Aliun El, who is Anu, the Most High, be just as he said to you. While Methuselah was speaking to the people, his spirit was convulsed, and kneeling on his knees, he stretched out his hands to heaven, praying to Aliun El, who is Anu, the Almighty Creator, and as he was, I'm just trying, okay. Anyway, to answer the question, it is quite straightforward. I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but I wanted to see what you were getting at. Just trying to read the question again. Okay, there you go. So can you explain the connection of this story to Enki and Ningishzida? All right, so Melchizedek is really the same word as Malachi Zodok, or Malachi Zedek, or Malachi Zodok. Malachi, as in part Nababianon, or the being known as Malachi Z, the Zedek or Zodok is the Z, Malachi Z York. Okay, the Malachi, depending on which language you're translating it from, is my angel, which becomes Mikael in Arabic here, or Marduk in ancient Sumer or Sumerian. And he is referred to or known as, and the Zedek or the Zodok means justice. So literally the translation of the word Malachi Zodok is the angel of justice. But in Arabic, as in Mikael, is dealing with who dares to be like El, because Malachi or Melchizedek, the archangel Michael, he is the warring angel, right? He's the defender of truth. Okay, so when you're saying the connection between that Enki and Ningishzida, it's because remember that the two sons of Enki and Enlil, or Anu, they're Anu's two sons, right? That's what we were just reading in that chapter. And Enki was the one that Melchizedek, Enki, even though he was the son of Anu, and so was Enlil, Murdoch, who is his grandson, came through Enki, you see. So because the two brothers, Enki and Enlil, were at war, and one was too agreeable and one was too disagreeable, or one was passive and one was aggressive, Anu decided to choose Murdoch as the being to give and empower and give him a weapon to fight and deal with both agreeable and disagreeable. There is a recording on YouTube with Malachi Zodok explaining that even though he was once a disagreeable, he was reprogrammed or recalibrated to do the will of Anu as opposed to being rebellious. But because he was once, remember that they tell you the whole story of how he had to go through the underworld, and they literally transformed him to have both natures, and that he was then being sent to come here in this day and time and break the seventh seal from 1970, and to bring about, when I say break the seventh seal, a lot of the knowledge was locked away until the appropriate time. And that's when the seventh seal was broken, to bring about this new cycle from the year 2000. So that first half hour from 1970 to the year 2000, Malachi York Zodok was breaking down the information and pouring into the world the pamphlets of truth, the true light. And basically he was able to do this because he now had the nature of agreeable and disagreeable. And to get us, because he was really sent to the Nagaru, right? But obviously for the whole world, for those who accept and choose to transform and, you know, change themselves. And he has that formula where you are 180 degrees disagreeable, or 100 and 180 agreeable together, making you 360 degrees. This is what we were talking about at the beginning. As an angel, you've got to either conquer one of the other sides of yourself, of your nature. So if you're doing disagreeable things and leaning to a disagreeable nature, because we all have that within us, as we are tied in our evolution to the reptilians too. We are part reptilian. That's why we live in water when we're in the sac in our mother's wombs. We can breathe in water. We have gills, and we live in water for 9 months before, and we go through the process of, you know, even being a grey, having big heads and big eyes, and we live in water as, you know, as a reptile or a reptilian. And then when the waters break, we come out, and then we become, you know, we become more in tune with the mammalian side, becoming mammals. And we're amphibian because we were in water and we're still in water. It's just that people don't realize that you constantly need water to hydrate yourself, right? So you need to have a shower or a bath every day, or as regularly as possible, or your skin will dry and go ashy. We need to drink water to stay, you know, hydrated. We're breathing water because the air we breathe is water. It's just a lighter form of water, right? So we are still tied to that nature. We have a reptilian brain. So the reptilian side of our nature, the beings that are here on the planet that are reptilians, that have an agenda, they appeal to your negative, disagreeable nature by way of the foods you eat, by way of the commercials and the advertising and the media that you are pushed constantly to feed those disagreeable side, even if you don't know it. Like you're doing and putting things into your body that are not really designed to help your nature, the agreeable nature, which is the Natharu, or the agreeable beings that you're part of in terms of the evolution in your genes, right? So when you say Ningish Zida now, Ningish Zida is one of those parts of the beings that make up Malachi, because he is a three-part being, right? And the reason for these beings within him is to relay information. And in addition to that, over the years in the mission of bringing truth, because once he arrives as the Son of Righteousness, as I said, read Malachi chapter 4, verse 2, which is the last book in the Old Testament. And then the book of Revelations, which is the last book in the New Testament, talks about the angel coming, that, you know, because the book of Revelations is the book that Jesus, that's his book, but it was given to, what's his name? John was looking at it and deciphering it, but it tells you, read it, chapter 1, it talks about it was signified and given to the angel. That angel is Malachi. That's why I said to you the word Malachi is my angel. And he's here to fulfill and bring about this new change. So that's the relationship between Malachi Zadok or Melchizedek and Enki and Ningish Zida. All right, so the three parts are Malachi, Ningish Zida, and of course Yanun. All right, I hope that gives you the answer for that question. It's grateful every day. Thanks, Rick Jones. Thank you, my brother, for all you do. Appreciate, love you. And we are all supposed to do our bit, our best, and help. That's why we keep asking you to share, subscribe, like, comment in the videos. You know, let us know how Wu-Sabat is having an impact in your life, and share the videos, make comments. Because we all, this is what I was saying before, that you're evolving. Every species has a period where they evolve, right? So you may look at a less evolved being and think in 100 years from now, or however long, they're going to evolve too. We have evolved, but the part of us that now needs to evolve to take us from just being more of the animal nature or the animal part of us, it's our consciousness, it's our spiritual and higher self. This is what needs to evolve now, so that you can get to become a more high conscious being, so that we can start doing and using our minds to do more and greater things. Like the angels that have evolved past us, in front of us, they're just thousands of years ahead of us. But in 1,000 years from now, we would have evolved too. And that evolution is more about your mind now, your higher consciousness. Like you start to use your higher powers, which you will receive once you start to tap into these things we talk about, like your third eye being open, you know, activating your pineal gland. You know, these chakras. This is when you start to do spiritual work. You start to look deeper. You start to think and reason on a higher level, and leave the low vibrations low for people that are just still using more of their animal nature. You know, they're creating divisions, disagreeableness, and that's all part of the programming of religions, and, you know, just like people being set against each other, racism and all this ignorant stuff that people fight over because they're not using their higher consciousness. So that's the evolution that we're now on. If you want to raise yourself, so you get yourself activated, then you start to learn how to tune into your inner being. And that inner being will give you your psychometry, your intuition, your telepathy, you know, your ability to start to tap into higher consciousness. Yeah? When I said those 4 higher senses, I missed one, didn't I? Intuition, telepathy, psychometry, and clairvoyance. You got to start knowing about these things. People are doing it. Some people are more gifted or naturally in tune to these higher powers, if they've been living a particular way. So kind of like think about it beyond the colors of, you know, like your color of your skin and the wars and the things that people are doing that don't reflect a high conscious being, you see. So yeah, we're all angels ascending and descending. And if you're not doing and partaking of the foolishness because you're woke and you're thinking and reasoning on a higher level, you're going to look at certain things like, this is very animalistic or barbaric or just low vibration, low intelligence. So you have to rise above that. And the more of us on the planet, on that vibration, we change the frequency of the planet. So don't be fooled by the constant like programming to have you operating on fear, operating on divisions, operating on segregation and all that stuff. If you are that way, you are that way, but you will fade out with that world because that's the time we're in. It's happening naturally anyway. All right? Okay, let's keep going. What does Rahubat mean? Oh, there's one before that. Someone's asking, if you're already a member, can you get a free book? Yeah, if your name comes up, if you prefer that, yeah, you'll get a free book instead. But if you're not a member and your name comes up, then you get the membership. So yes, all right, let's keep going to the next question. It says, thank you, my brother, for all you... Okay, we covered that already. Yeah, Rahubat Seken, do you know about Corey Good? Oh, Rahubat Grace. Corey, the name does ring a bell, but should I know about him? What's special about him? I'm gonna have a quick look. What was the name? Corey what? Corey Good. All right, let's have a look. Oh, before I deal with the Corey Good question, the holy tablets, even though I read from it and I broke it down and talking about that because you asked the question, we are way past the holy tablet in our development, in the sense that the holy tablets has actually expired. It expired as of the year 2000. So whilst it's still a reference book, when you read the entire book, it tells you it's relayed as it was received, and it was just to bring an end to the monotheistic religion and clear up all the confusion and all the things that people were, like you were saying, you're confused about angels and the things you're being told in religion, because we know those books are they're derivatives of older tablets from the Anunnaki and the Sumerian tablets. That's where it comes from the Enuma Elish, the Gilgamesh epics, the Atrahasis, and these tablets that have been found and deciphered. So once that was complete, the master went on to giving us our stuff and dealing with Tamarian and dealing with ancient Egyptian stuff and going backwards to dealing with our culture of Wu-Sabat. So don't get like the Bible and the Quran, don't get stuck on the holy tablets. You know, there's valuable information, but it has expired. And we're now in what we call the hereafter doctrine, which deals with actual facts. Yeah, so these are actual facts. We deal with the Pataruk, right? So these Pataruk, the way, like these ones, we deal with these. And of course, we deal with the master's secrets. So those are the hereafter doctrine. So focus on those, but then, of course, read around and read other information that was published by the master teacher. Right, I've seen it. Corey Good described as the insider's insider, a secret space program whistleblower and contactee, film producer and content creator based on his experience of over 20 years in unacknowledged special access programs, including Project Solar Warden. Yeah, okay. Now you've jogged my memory. There are many whistleblowers now. This is what I'm saying to you, that there are people who know that information has been hidden, truth has been hidden, or suppressed, and especially to do with extraterrestrials and, you know, things that they find when they crash, encounters with different officials, etc. I mean, there's so many projects: Project Blue Book, Project Paperclip, the Rainbow Project. There were many projects that, you know, Bob Lazar and people that were, you know, working and involved with trying to re-engineer alien technology and so forth. Disclosure has now been made by governments, not just the US government, but the Russian and the Chinese. That many things are coming out now because, as I said to you, we're living in that information age and the day of truth. So everything's going to be exposed. Every lie that's ever been hidden, you know, is going to come out because we're evolving. And so many whistleblowers are now speaking on many things. You know, people are talking about, you know, the moon landing that never took place. People are talking about Area 51, the Roswell crash, the many extraterrestrials that they've encountered, portals are being opened with, you know, projects from CERN, you know, like the Hydro Collider project. People are seeing all kinds of things and experiencing all kinds of things. But what they're also doing is with technology, extraterrestrials have given certain technology, especially AI now, people are trying to distort and make the confusion and the blur between reality and irreality. So there's real things, but you also have, because of the technology and social media, etc., people are doing things with AI as well to kind of throw you off. So this is what being someone who's awake and able to discern, you will know and feel, like I mentioned, with your intuition, when you're in tune with it, you know, with your psychometry, your telepathy, your clairvoyance, you will feel and know something, and you can, with your third eye being open, you can, or your first eye, as most like to call it, because that's who you are first before you come into the lower vibration, the 3D dimension, physical dimension, where these eyes are open, but these eyes are based on illusions. So AI is trying to distort the reality, and now people that see real things will try and explain it, and people that have seen fake things are going to say you're making it up, you're crazy, something's wrong with you. So the line's being blurred. But yeah, there are many whistleblowers in all races that are now speaking about these things that we've been teaching for years. We have a live caller. Rahubat, greetings. What's your name, where you're calling from, and what's your question, please?
Greetings. My name is Kerith Muir from Jamaica.
Rahubat, greetings. What's your question today?
My question is, since we are 9 ether beings, are there beings that, well, you said there are 6 ether beings as well, but are there 7 ether and 8 ether beings on Earth?
Tua, yes. The ether is in everything, engulfing everything, and you have different types of ether. Just like you have different types of melanin or different variations or levels of things. So 9 ethers is the highest because we deal with the number 9 being the highest. And people say, why is 9 the highest? It's because after 9, you're just repeating, and it's compound numbers until you get to 9 to the 9 power of 9, which they refer to as infinity. So the 9s just become repeated 9. So if you look at the reason you have 9 ethers, the highest, is because not every being is able to elevate to the highest beings, because you need mechanisms right, such as a soul, to be able to reach to the the ninth or the highest level. And when I say that, it means that even though you are ether, there's different density levels of ether. And so you can, if you use numbers, you can say there's 1 ether, 2 ether, 3 ether, 4 ether, all the way to 9 ether. And you can go downwards as well, because the more you vibrate on the highest, faster vibration, the more you're able to propel or raise yourself to the 9 ether. And when we're saying that, we're not just saying in terms of the vibration, because you have beings that reside on all of these realms going to the highest realms of ether. So we're just, even though we're on the lower vibration in terms of the physical realm or the material realm, we still have ether on a lower density, you see. So it's just like when we say melanin is in everything, but the people that are more dominant in melanin are going to have more melanin, and those who are recessive are going to have very little melanin, or reducing or losing melanin, you see. So yes, there's 9 ether on different levels of vibration, and not everyone can reach the highest vibrations, because you need, like I said, a soul to go to the highest vibrations. You've got people that vibrate on 6 ether mainly, and 5 and 6 ether. And when you start to apply that to beings on the planet Earth, you have the root races that vibrate on different ether levels. So the root race, the first one being the Negroids, or the Nagaru, as we say, Nagaranadu, they're descendants of those higher beings, 9 ethers, that we refer to as the Riskians, or the Etherians, because these beings, the Etherians, are on the highest level, and they can slow their vibration and come down here, and some of them can go back at will. And so on the planet, the root race of the Negroids, we refer to as the Homo naledi or Habilis. They are the descendants of the highest 9 ether beings, known as the Natharu. Then you have the 5 and 6 ether beings, which will be related to the 5 ether being the Caucasian male, and the 6 ether, right, being the Caucasian female. Then you have 7 and 8, which deals with, and the Caucasian is obviously also referred to physically as their genes coming from the Cro-Magnon and the Neanderthal. The Cro-Magnon were wiped out by the Basque, but they vibrate on 6 ether. Then you have what we will refer to as the Asians, or the Homo florensis and the Denisovan. They are 7 and 8 ether, you see. But the people on the lower vibrations, if they mix with the female of the Caucasian, for example, being a Femi 6, can mix with a Femi 9 male Nagaru, which will help her raise her vibration upwards, you see. So it all depends on who you are, what's your mix in terms of your genetics, what's your nature, what do you do with that nature in terms of your intentions, in terms of how you're elevating yourself and applying Wu-Sabat to your being. Does that make sense?
Yes, I have another question though.
Go ahead.
So a child inherits his nature from his father predominantly, because the child is whatever the father is. But does a child inherit a part of its nature from its mother as well?
Absolutely. In fact, it depends on whether the child is male or female. And there are different aspects to what you're calling inheritance. When you say heritage, you're saying her, it, age, right? So you're taking in, if it's a female, she's actually gonna have the mitochondrial DNA because it's passed from mother to daughter and mother to daughter only, right? If you're male, then yes, you're going to have 33% of your mother and 33% of your father, then you're going to have 33% of yourself, which gives you 99%. And then the 1% kind of continues on because with percentages, right, in order to continue or build the next stage, you need to carry over from the previous. So for example, when you look at those numbers I was talking about in terms of 9 ether from 1 to 9, in order to have a 2, you need to take something from 1 to make 2 up. So you'll always have 99% of 1 and 1% starts 2 and 99% of 2 until one of those percent carries over because everything is connected. So when you're saying a male child, it's all based on the parents. And yes, you get a third from the mother, a third from the father, and a third, which is yourself as well. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, is that it, or do you have another question?
That is it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, back to the questions in the comments. Your question is, Yabani Ra, what does Rahubat means? Rahubat is from our language, Miss Batia, known to many by different names, such as Sabaik or Nuwapik, and is the most ancient language spoken on the planet, and it means greetings. There are many levels when you look at tones and vibrations and words in our language, but just to give you the basic understanding of the word Rahubat is greetings, all right? So instead of saying hell is low, or people say hello, hell is low vibration, low frequency. You want to say something that is uplifting in terms of the vibration. So you're not condemning people to hell the first thing you do when you see them by saying hello, because tones, vibrations, and frequency affect you. We have another caller, another live caller. Greetings, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question, please?
Rahubat again. This is Jerry Jamal.
Rahubat Jamal. Kayefa Thera Antak.
Can you get me? My network is a bit bumpy.
Oh, so I just said, how are you?
I'm doing my best. How are you, my brother?
Doing my best. Yeah. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, so I just had 2 quick questions. My first question is regarding the veil of forgetting. Like, what was really the purpose of the putting up the veil of forgetting on this specific planet when we come back here? Like, wouldn't it have been easier if we were able to remember like a bit of our past lives, then like work with what we have now and maybe help us in terms of progression?
Okay. Where is that reference coming from? Where you getting the veil of forgetfulness from?
The what?
I'm saying, what reference are you reading that veil of forgetfulness?
I've just forgotten. There was a scroll I was reading. I think if I remember it, I'll be able to share. I've just forgotten. Though there was a scroll I was reading, it should be last week.
Okay. The spiritual you after the physical you dies, and I think the 24 elders scroll goes into that. The thing is, it's almost like giving you a new slate to start from, and sometimes, even though you forget, you do have the ability to tap back in and access memory and remember things. This is why things like hypnotic regression is a thing. You know, people can be regressed to remember certain things, but sometimes it's done out of not wanting you to relive certain traumas or things that you've been through. But ultimately, it's to give you kind of a clean slate. But we can look more into detail and perhaps, you know, dive a bit deeper into maybe getting more information for that. But if you refer to those two scrolls I've mentioned, you'll get more information. Yeah, so sometimes
So you said
it's
the
just play.
24 elders,
Yeah, and spiritual you after the physical you dies.
spiritual after the physical. Okay, sure. I get
Yeah.
it.
Did you have any other question? You said you had another question.
Uh, though it's similar to what I've asked, but it's also relating to like what shrouds the divine from the human side.
Sorry, it's a bit muffled. Did you say what shows the divine from the human side?
What shrouds the divine aspect and the human side.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of went through that in terms of it's really you're the same on the inside as you are on the outside, and what you have to
Yeah.
do is be able to get to know you, get to know your voice, get to know your true nature. Because a lot of times people are acting out of programming or influence of other entities or other beings that have given you the wrong outlook in life, in the education and the things that you've been doing all your life without realizing they're holding you back or keeping you down. Things like the diet, things like the way you think. So ultimately, your nature, you have to be able to subdue and silence those personalities within your nature that are disagreeable or that are having you behave and act in a way that is not leaning to your agreeable nature. And this is where you have to silence the voices that you hear in your head that make you make decisions that are not good for you or that are not going to help you progress. We have a we have a pataruk called takror, decision, the decision, because this helps you to make decisions, because decisions are what you make after you process and reason things out or think things out. And you will know when you're reasoning out something and it doesn't make sense. So let's say, for example, smoking, alcohol, being subjecting yourself to bad frequencies or noises that are going to affect your being, or eating bad foods and bad diets. All these things are going to make you vibrate lower. You're not going to elevate in terms of your consciousness. But then if you recognize that you hear these voices that are very strong in your personality, that keep leading you to do things that antagonize or agitate your being, which result in you either acting in a low state of depression, fear, jealousy, anger, greed. All these mental diseases are the work of those personalities within you that want to feed those forces. So your actions will show. This is where, if you look at people that they subscribe to religions, or they follow or worship a particular way of life that tells them do this, do that, and anyone else who's not doing the same thing as you're doing, they're not looked as being part of you, and they may even get called names like infidels, or you know, I don't know, all kinds of names that mean
Yeah,
that
and
they
I
feel
get
they're
you right
better
on
than
this.
everyone else. Yeah. So if you're leaning to your agreeable nature, you're going to be positive, helpful, mindful, cheerful, peaceful, you know, helpful to other people. You're going to be positive more and more leaning to your agreeable. So it's really about the actions, because when you look at people, you can't judge a person based on like the color of their skin. I think the way Martin Luther King put it is that you've got to judge somebody by the contents of their character and what energy they bring, what vibration do they have when they're around you. Are they people that bring a positive energy, or are they people that suck out your energy or drain you or come with low vibrations? They may be doing it and being unaware of it. So when they know, then they've got to change and transform and lean more towards their positive side. You can't say, for example, you worship a good God or good beings, but then your actions are not reflecting or showing that. So that's showing you that you're actually, you're in a way, you're kind of faking the funk. You can't be a miserable, sad, depressed being. I'm not, again, I know some people suffer from depression and all kinds of things. I'm talking about this in a more like your everyday demeanor. You know, if there are things that are pulling you down, you got to fix it so that you can get rid of those entities, those spirits, those disagreeable beings that are keeping you on a low vibration. That's why in Wu-Sabat we say, study the Patarak 30 spirits, study the Patarak, you know, you know, there's so many, spirits. These, because people forget you have unseen beings or energy within you, or spirits or unseen entities that influence you, because you're when you're vibrating, you're dealing with waves, forms of waves that are gonna, because you're porous and you're an energy being, you're also vibrating, because you're not actually solid as you may think, because you're composed of atoms and molecules that are vibrating. And if you can change your, you know, you can just change your mind, your mental state, and you can transform and become a much more agreeable being. So it's really about the actions and the things you do. Does that help?
Yeah. Sure, it does. I
So the
appreciate it.
divine side of you is going to be divine. That's like the word actually says. You're going to be more positive. You come around and you bring in that energy. You want to help people. It's more about you using the God side of you as opposed to the negative side or the devil side of you. You follow?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I appreciate it.
no problem. Na
Thank you,
utshaka
sir.
tua wadu. We're on 67. We want to get 150 live. So get more people on, and so we can get to 150, so we can give away 5 free membership to the channel OSM Vision. And if you haven't already pressed the like button, please do so. That helps us as well. Remember, it's all based on algorithms, all right? We have another caller. Rahubat, greetings caller. What's your name, where you're calling from, and what's your question, please?
Yeah, greetings, bro. I'm calling from London.
Greetings.
Tell me something. What is the diet, or what was the diet of the Anunnaki? Are they vegetarians?
No, they're more. Okay, let me explain. Anunnaki is a description of an incident that took place, which is beings came to this planet, and this planet was known as Ki at the time. Na means 50, and so Anu was a leader, or the being known as the Most High in the Bible, who was the highest of the Sumerian beings, known as the Anunnaki, because he sent these beings to the planet Ki in groups of 50. That's what the word Anunnaki mean. But what people, when they're watching YouTube videos or they hear Anunnaki, they just apply that to all the beings. But within the Anunnaki, you have agreeable and disagreeable beings. the Anakites or the Anunnaki, the disagreeable side, they were meat eaters and flesh eaters, right? And they're the ones that, the disagreeable side anyway, but you also, and they're broken down into like Shamgao and Nuna. But these are the levels of learning about the Anunnaki that we teach, because you have to really know we have an actual fact, no, in fact, it's a master secret called the Anunnaki and the biblical I can't remember the exact title, but we can post it, and it gives you the kind of like the entire family line of these different Anunnaki. They're actually different people. So when you said the diet, this is why when you go into the Bible, you end up with a situation where the Cain and Abel story is a repetition of the Enki and Enlil story and the other brothers' stories that, you know, Jacob and Esau. All throughout the Bible, you have these conflicts between two people. And what happened in the Cain and Abel story is that an offering was made, and you had two sons. One offered meat, or shall I say, I keep saying meat because they've programmed us to think animal is meat, but the word meat is not referring to animals. But animal sacrifice, and one offered vegetation, and it wasn't accepted. And this is why it led to Cain killing Abel, because in the Bible you have two characters playing throughout: the beings that support Enlil and the beings that support Enki, okay? And these are the beings that you're calling God, Yahweh, Lord, Baal, all these different El Shaddai, El Shad throughout the Bible, but it's just been translated as God. And they give you the tricks of to say capital G, small g, but in the language, there's no capital G's or small g's, it's just different words. Elohim, right? Elo, Yahweh, as I've said with many other names. So what it is that some of these are disagreeable and they want sacrifices, blood sacrifices, animal sacrifices, and they love to eat animals. They love the burnt carcass, the savior or the smell of these carcasses. So yes, you had
Can I
those.
interject there?
Yeah, sure. So I'm just saying, in terms of the diet, it depends on who we're talking about, which being. Some are vegetarian or
Well,
vegan, and some are
what
animal.
I'm trying to establish,
Yes.
some of our ancestors were great warriors. For instance, the Nubians used to protect, let's say, the Egyptian. You had Hannibal cross the mountains. And,
Okay.
what were they vegetarians?
That's what I'm saying. When you're saying cannibal, you're really talking about
No,
Bao.
no, Hannibal.
Oh, Hannibal.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hannibal, the word Bao is still at the end of that. And I'm saying that when you say our ancestors, who is the ours? Because not all the people that are spoken about in the Bible are our ancestors. And this is why you had the original beings that came here. They were in a zone known as the green zone, right? They were vegetarian. I mean, they didn't eat any meat. So they were in the green zone, and these were the Pataites. And then you had in the red zone where these Nephilims and these reptilians, these Anakites, they came, and they were meat eaters. And in fact, they started to eat the Pataites, the small people, which caused the confusion because they came out of the red zone and started to like go into the green zone, and then it just got confused, and to the point where
So who created these zones?
the Natharu, because originally this planet, if you read, we have a actual fact called Existence, How and Why, right? That goes into this in great detail, because the original inhabitants of the planet, they didn't eat animals. As I said, they were eating herbs. And even the Bible initially, when you read in Genesis, it says, I've given you herbs and fruits and trees to be meat. And that's where the word meat has been misconstrued to be animals, because an animal is an animal, a pig is a pig, a cow is a cow. Do you know what I mean? But when you unalive it and turn it into flesh, blood flesh, you then call it meat. That's where the confusion comes in. But we weren't designed for that initially. But because of the mixtures over time, we got those genetics within us. And like I mentioned before, you have that reptilian nature that wants to, or they teach you or advertise, and over the years you're taught to eat meat or eat animals. I gotta stop saying meat. Eat animal flesh, and that's why your digestive system is not designed for it. You didn't have canine teeth originally. You look at the whole process of what flesh does. Dead flesh does. It's not a good thing. So, but I'm not saying that to like people over the years, you were taught to eat that with vegetables or with whatever you're eating with it. Now everybody asks you, what protein would you like? Because they're giving you this illusion that to be strong and big and muscly and healthy, you need protein. But the protein...
Yeah, but
Sorry, go ahead.
This, I don't mean to interject, but I mean...
No, please, it's fine. Go ahead.
So basically, we, as Nasaru, I think you call us, we had vegetarian warriors.
We had what?
Because
sorry?
basically, because you've never really heard of a gangster or a mass
but that's what I'm
murderer
saying. That's
being
misinformation.
vegetarian.
That's what I was trying to go to, because if you look at the biggest animals or mammals on the planet, like your elephants, and other big mammals, gorillas, they don't eat flesh. They eat vegetation. That's why I'm saying that the miseducation or misinformation is that you get protein from, ingesting dead flesh. But the protein that people are getting from the animals is the protein that the animals are getting from the vegetation. So that's second-hand vegetation, second-hand protein, when you can get it directly from eating vegetation. And the vegan diet is much more healthy for you. So yes, we did have warriors that were, but we're not even warriors, but we did have people that were able to defend themselves and so forth without being flesh eaters.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, thank you for clearing that up.
No worries. And when I said the word is Nagaru or Nagar Nadu in our language, which is the word Negroid.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mm-hmm. Did you have another question?
One more question.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I was watching a podcast a few days ago, and basically there was a specialist on this podcast, and what this individual was saying, that a lot of the youths nowadays, they're disagreeable as they are, because instead of their mothers putting them through her womb, they're getting cesarean section.
Right.
Because basically, once the woman pushes the child through her womb, she codes him in a certain information. Whereas when you do like a cesarean section, it bypasses that genetic information. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does. It started with being too posh to push. But yeah, I mean, there is a complete process and mechanism by design that a lot of us haven't been taught because of, being the colonizers and the misinformation and miseducation. But what is making a lot of children disagreeable is not just that aspect of it, it's the fact that we're living in a day and time where you have a lot of disagreeable beings on the planet, disagreeable energies, and some entities, we call them spirits, they enter the child when the child is born. Some of these are attached to you all your life or a part of your life, and you also have entities that utilize the physical skin suit of new beings. So when you're being brought to this world or this realm, if you don't know the science, because a lot of times it goes back pre-conception. A lot of people know about conception and they know about 9 months that you're in the womb of your mother, but there are 3 months prior to that where things are taking place and happening in the spiritual, or what they call the unseen world, that then manifest and come out 12 months later. But people only know from when they say, okay, the woman's pregnant. They don't know about this 3 months prior in the spiritual world or the spiritual realm was taking place. So what you're doing really, if your two parents are not vibrating on the right frequency, you're bringing entities into this world that are disagreeable, or certain entities that are using that portal to come here. So yes, there is an element of truth to what you're saying. This is why there's a art of sex and there's a science of sex. And in ancient times, we knew to bring two people together that were compatible to bring about what we really know and call golden children. So the whole process has a ritual and a meaning to bringing beings into this world. And when beings are brought into this world, they come in with trauma, especially when they conceived in a particular way. You know, they come out, they see bright lights. The first thing they do is they get traumatized, and then even with the circumcision, that's another traumatized event. So yeah, there's a particular way when you go back to our culture, how we do things. It's in the dark, it's peaceful, you're not lying on your back. There are many, many things to how you're supposed to come into this world, and certain rituals and certain things are performed.
Could I just interject?
Of course.
You seem to be trying to create a tranquil environment in a very disagreeable
Yes, that's
rulership or leadership.
you're trying to, even before you get to the point, you're creating an environment by way of your intentions, your mind, everything, for the two people coming together before.
No, I don't mean to cut you there. What I'm saying is your organization
Yeah,
seems to be trying to create a tranquil environment in a very disagreeable environment.
right. But we're not trying. We're doing it in the sense of there are worlds within worlds. Like you can live in a. I hear what you're saying, but you can live in a world that you create that is shielded. Like, for example, in the Bible, they talk about the tabernacle of the Most High. A tabernacle is an enclosure. So this is what we had when we had our own environment with our own land and living our culture, and things being done in our way, in our culture. But eventually, we're going to recreate that, perhaps not in the world, but what it is we're also aware that the world as you know it now is changing, is transforming. They're different conscious levels, so you can exist in the exact same place but on a different vibration. You follow? Because you have different people occupying the same space but vibrating on different densities or different conscious levels, and they can be okay. I think the best way of explaining it is like your body houses parasites, bacteria, and you can be vibrating on an alkaline or an acidic level, meaning the environment that your body is in. One is conducive for a healthy environment, and one is conducive for a diseased and an environment that will have you sick and so on. So you have to decide your temple, which environment are you creating within it? Do you follow? It's the
Could I,
same with the
no,
world.
can I just interject there? I also saw a program back like in the 70s where an individual, I think it's food, it's 17 years, he breathes in the nutrients. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, there are beings or people who practice something known as being a breatharian, meaning that
Yeah.
if you really think about the process of food, what you're doing is really trying to get the nutrients from what you're putting into yourself, right? So if you can get those same nutrients or that same energy without going through the process of taking solid things and then you're breaking them down by chewing them to produce liquids that then go through the digestive system, that then produce that energy that you take as nutrition. If you could bypass that whole digestive process that utilizes energies and then your liver does all the cleansing in terms of filter the filtration of the bad stuff and take it, like if you could just get that pure energy from the sun or from nature, then you wouldn't really need that. But obviously that takes a high level of, you know, discipline and learning how to absorb that energy without having to go through that process. And for we're not for 1 minute here, because I have to put a disclaimer, we're not telling people not to eat, and we're not giving medical advice. But what I'm saying is there are levels of attainment where you can, you know, like for example, plants, they are healthy and they grow, but they take energy from the sun, which is referred to as photosynthesis, right? It's a process where those plants are able to absorb energy from the sun, from the air. So when you're breathing, even if you were to really look at why you're breathing and what you're taking from the breath, you go into the nucleus of what you're taking in. That's got energy. They call this chi or qigong. Like people practice these martial arts and things like that to get that energy. But yes, it's possible to live on very little in terms of fruits, herbs, and energy that surrounds us, and even crafts, say extraterrestrial crafts, they use something called blast electricity, right? Which is energy that surrounds the planet. Even like you have ley lines, and these extraterrestrials, they know, and crafts, they know how to extract this energy, so they run on that fuel without having to use fossil fuels. I'm not sure if I'm making sense to you, but yes, there are ways that you can.
No, I'm here loud and clear because I mean I do a lot of research in the magnetical grid,
Right,
because basically this is what the pyramids were all about.
exactly.
And the pyramids all over the world. I think the pyramids have something called tachyon energy.
Absolutely, I was just about to say that. Yeah, that tachyon energy is those standard columnar waves that produce that energy that comes out in the double helix, and which is what you see in the medical symbol when they have that kundalini. And this is what people are talking about when they say the kundalini awakening, because you're tapping into that energy. And you have extraterrestrial beings that don't have digestive systems, like some of the species of the greys that I mentioned, and they absorb their nutrients by absorbing energy. And some of them have to lie in vats and soak up the nutrients from these vats. And this is why on the planet today, a lot of the energy, the negative energy that is created, is for some of these beings, because they subsist off of that negative energy. It's like electricity being the lowest form of energy, but within that you have from electricity all the way to like the gamma rays, and in between you have like ultraviolet rays, you have, different forms of vibrations and energy. So when you start to look into this deep, like people like Nikola Tesla were inventing things and showing you that you can get energy from, free energy from knowing how to
Can
tap
I
into.
just say this?
Yeah, go ahead. We haven't had any other callers, so yeah, go ahead.
No,
But
no,
I'm
no.
mindful that there
Very,
are many people
very,
also in the chat wanting their questions answered. So if you, yeah,
no, no, no.
go
But
ahead.
I'm just, but alas, but I mean, a lot of these sporting arenas,
Yeah,
that is where a lot of these beings got their energy from. Because every
absolutely.
time we chant,
Exactly. And I'm glad that you're aware of these things. This is why competitions are created, because competition has two people against each other. This is why I'm saying that it goes back to these conflicts of the gods. We actually have a book called The Conflicts of the God that go into the competition between Enlil and Enki, Cain and Abel, as I said, Jacob and Esau, and it goes all the way till today, where now those have become two football teams against each other or two sports personalities. There's always two boxers, and what happens is that one side is going to win and another side is going to lose. Those who lose, they have that negative energy because they feel down and out, my team lost. And sometimes their emotions take the better of them and they actually start destroying things. And it ties into them being psyched up by maybe taking alcohol, and some alcohol is referred to as spirits, or drinking certain brands, and in Islam they refer to these disagreeable spirit beings or entities as jinns. You see,
it's
you look at
changed.
you look at the coincidence between these spirit drinks called jinns and spirits, and you start to look at the word spirit, it goes into ether, ethanol, because what you're doing is you're putting these poisons into your body that reacts with the sun within you. You either have a solar plex or you have a lunar plex, and depending on how you interact with these chemicals that you're putting into yourself, you're going to react and have emotions or energy in motion, which can lead to people destroying properties. And I'm glad you brought that up, because we are now in this day and time that it's going to be celebrated, called Halloween, right? We've just done a video on that. If you haven't seen that already, check it out. But it
I've
explains.
seen it. I've seen it.
Okay, so yeah, this is what I'm saying, that the devil or the disagreeable beings or entities, they rely on this night for many people to behave in that demonic way and push out this energy. A lot of chaos goes on that. Many people they get unalive during that time, because people are dressing like ghouls, like skeletons, and it ties in with where you have fireworks and you're hearing a lot of chaos, because that bang, bang, bang all the time relates to gunfire, and it's really a celebration that comes from something known as Samhain, and this ties into the Wicca religion and the Druids, and all of these beings. They're doing the bidding of the person they call the devil or Satan. So
I think you referred to it as the evil one's Sabbath.
exactly. So you always have the two sides and the two natures, and this is what competitions do. And as you say, in those arenas, like if you even go back to like the gladiators and go back to like Rome and look at what that was about, like you had these massive colosseums where two people were, going to fight to the death, and all this negative energy, disagreeable energy on the planet is feeding these beings, and the entropy effect on the planet. When we talk about entropy, is the balance or the imbalance, where if something is too negative, it's gonna shake the planet. The vibration of the planet is gonna be not positive, and so they create this chaos, all this energy, all these divisions, and inciting race wars and all this stuff is all in need of feeding these disagreeable beings that people call devils or Satan and so on and so forth. But he has many children or many people that are going to do his bidding on that night. But I'm going to have to leave
Thank
it
you for
there
your,
because
thank you for
we've
your time.
got others waiting. Thank you for calling. All right. Tawat. Okay, let's keep going back to the questions in the chat. Yeah, we covered that, Corey. Good. What does Rahubat mean? We covered that. Right. The next question is, in Astral, I was with you. You gave me a book called Potential. Wow, that's good. I have it right here. Yeah, because it's all about tapping into your hidden potential, bringing that supreme being in you out of yourself. So that's positive. And if you haven't got your potential yet, get hold of that. And we also have the one that goes hand in hand with that, the mind. This is how you learn how to process out formation into information, the ability for you to receive impressions and knowledge from outside of your mind, from the mental reservoir, from outside of the planet, from the cosmos, from different beings on different realms and vibrations. So those two books really help you. So yeah, the potential, that's the one, Grace. All right, let's keep going. Thank you. Yeah, Rahubat means greetings. Rahubat Saken, I really love you. Oh, I love you back. I shook back to you too. Thank you. Right, let's keep going. Pharaoh 818. Where is the link up the hangout spot for us or when we astral project? Which star constellation do us Sabians hang out the most? You can't, I mean, it depends on each person and their level of their development and what they can do in terms of when they, I mean, there are different levels of traveling, if I could use that word. Some people can only literally travel around their house. Some can go out into outside their house. And you've got things like remote viewing as well as astral projection. They're two kind of different things. But yeah, you go to where you can go to and you have to learn how to control it. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have to be able to do this, yeah? So, yeah, it depends on you. Depends on you and what, not everybody can go to the same place. I mean, many people have their own experiences in terms of their astral projection, but yeah, everyone's different. But if you are in tune with someone, yeah, you can definitely meet them in that realm and go to places, but you can also do remote viewing, which is, yeah, slightly different. Let's keep going. Drem Michael 8889. I've been sitting back quietly, soaking up all this great knowledge you've been putting out since the first video you done, and trust me, I haven't been the same since, and I thank you so much. Yeah, it's by way of the master teacher. Remember, we are all vessels that can be channeled and utilized once we tune ourselves in. Yeah, this is kind of relating to the question from Pharaoh as well. You are, and I keep saying this all the time, you are an electromagnetic semiconductor. Sounds like a lot of words, right? But you are a being that can receive, your transmitter and a receiver at the same time. You can receive vibrations and frequencies from anywhere in the cosmos. You can tune in and be utilized by your ancestors that are vibrating on these higher realms. You just have to, you think about yourself like a radio, you know, the tuning, when you're tuning into a radio station, especially the FM and the analog radios, you tune and you hear a lot of white noise, right? These are the different frequencies. And like, you hear the static noise, you hear some messages trying to come in, You go through and you're hearing that until you get to where you have a crystal clear signal. And that's, let's say you're tuning into your ancestors on that frequency, and you receive the messages. You see, you have to learn to know when they communicate with you in many ways. And as I said, as an electromagnetic semiconductor, you're able to pick up and tune in, but you have to be aware and control what you're receiving as well, because if you're, it's like some people have, let's use the analogy, you have a house, you have a front gate, right? And a front door. You also have a back gate and a back door. Sometimes people will lock their front gate, lock their front door and go in their house, but their back gate and their back door is open. So if you leave yourself open, beings that ride these waves can enter you, because you're a porous being, meaning that you have pores. When you look closely, you can see that you're not really solid. You have holes, in other words, and you can receive these vibrations. So I'm saying that to say that, yeah, you can also help if you just tune yourself to the right frequency. You're dialing the correct telephone number to your ancestors that will help you and work with you. The agreeable ones. You have disagreeable and agreeable ancestors too, which make you up as a personality. So you're able to tune in and receive, and yeah, just cut out all the crap that you do, like the bad things you eat, get into the good habits, the meditation, the relaxation, the intake of water, the things you do in a positive way. After a while, your life is just going to be positive. Be around positive people. Be around people who, I'm not saying you don't have the other side, all you're doing is you're bringing it down and only bring it when you need it. So you suppress it and you're predominantly agreeable, and you're transforming yourself from being, like I was saying, on a, let's say, a acidic environment to a more alkaline environment, which is going to encourage you to receive more. And then the more you learn, the more you apply, the more you're given. You take a step towards them, they take 10 towards you. So I'm saying, I do appreciate, love your comment. It shows us and it encourages us to keep going. Remember, we're all here just passing through. We're not all going to be here. This is the reality. Don't fear death, because it's just a transformation into the next existence. And you keep going, and you don't have to come back if you're able to keep pushing higher. Higher doesn't mean up, because that's what I'm saying. The spell has everyone thinking up, but it is up in terms of faster vibrations. But depending on where you are on the planet, if you're on the other side of the world, because you're held by gravity, your up could be down, and you might be here and your up is that way. You might be there and your up is that way. So up and down, you have to look at it like it's just levels of different vibrations, you see. And the trick is about making you think down is hell, up is heaven. But anywhere you look, the energy is around, it's existing. This is why people, lose the concept of who and what God is. All right, let's keep going. But yeah, I hope I'm pronouncing Dremc Michael 8889. Yeah, the master teacher loves to hear how Wu-Sabat is having an impact, on people and the world. So those types of comments are great to let him know that his work is not in vain. Do you use crystals in rituals? Yeah, this is from Chinyere, I9U. Yes, you do. Crystals, there are different types of crystals. In fact, you've just reminded me, let me show you something. This is a great book called Indigenously Black. that we have in the store. And the reason I'm showing you this is because it goes into crystal in a great way, and it really breaks down. It's a great resource. This is a tabletop book that will be great for any presents that anybody wants to give anybody in this festive season. I have to show you this because it's really, it shows you a lot about crystals. Did I just miss it? Bear with me. And you can get it at Nishat. Great resource to have. Every time you want to find something, it's the great chapter in here about crystals. Maybe I can let you find it for me in the meantime, because if I can let my good brother, yeah, just look for the crystals. There's a nice section on crystal. Yeah, I'll show it to you, and then you can learn more about crystals, because there are different types of crystals. Crystals absorb negative energy. Some of them are able to enhance aspects of your energy. Crystals can be used to balance out, you know, some of them, once they do their job, they move on. So, you know, if you have the smaller crystals that you carry around, you may lose it. There's so many different types of crystals, and we are actually crystals ourselves. And when you look at even the pyramids in Giza, they were designed based on certain frequencies and vibrations, and you know, originally they were encoded with crystals. Oh, someone just said, I just want to say, oh, it's Pharaoh again. I want to say, Moisa, that Halloween video was hard, with a smile. We do our best, we do, and it's all that information coming from Parna Babiano and Dr. Malachi Z. York. And sometimes we have to keep the videos to a certain length, because we know some people, their attention span is quite small. So we could really go in and do a much longer video, but yeah, I'm glad you love it and like it. Okay, Gangster Talking Simulation 1319. What do you know about Gangster Talking Dapper EMF weapons attack on the citizens? Again, that kind of ties into frequencies and vibration, because like we know you can channel and send frequencies through various distances, right? Like I gave the examples when you're tuning a radio, or you're receiving radio waves. So there are weapons that are using, yeah, there you go, EMF. Thank you, Tawutat. Yeah, so for the question about crystals, this is what I was saying, there's a whole chapter on crystals, and it's very colorful. This is a completely full color. It's not just about crystal, it goes in on a lot of subjects, but just wanted to kind of show you the crystals and what they do and how powerful they are. All right, so get hold of this, Indigenously Black by Donna Davis. Okay, all right, let's keep going. We want to get through as many questions as we can. Let me just take a moment to take some of my Miss Iris Moss. Very, very nutritional and healthy. Good for the throat. I talk a lot because I'm always teaching. And yeah, just answering questions constantly, trying to get Wu-Sabat out to the world. Yeah, there are many videos on social media talking about EMF weapons, because, you know, they can take out, you know, like many satellites and take out grids and sort of stuff. So it's important to be aware of these technologies. All right, let's keep going. This is from TrendSnap H2D. Is Wu-Sabat different from other individuals, YouTubers who are also called chosen ones? What makes Wu-Sabat stand out? There's nothing like Wu-Sabat out there, and Wu-Sabat is the leader of the pack. Wu-Sabat is where most of the new people on YouTube are getting the information from. They may be getting it from first, second, third, fourth hand, but not realizing the source is from the master teacher. And all you have to do is go back and look at some of the videos he's put out, look at some of the books when they were written, what he was saying way before other people started saying it. But it doesn't matter, because what he says is truth, right? It doesn't matter where it's coming from, as long as the truth gets out. What people do, though, they don't give reverence or respect to the ones who paved the way first. So yes, the big difference is many people can regurgitate or give information, but they don't have the full circumference. They don't have where they're taking you. You share information, that's great. They don't know the science and the rituals, and they don't have the language. They don't have the science of the language, the tones, the vibrations, and the frequencies. They don't know how they're going to take you and avoid the calamities and the things that are coming. They don't have a guide. They're not the chosen one, in the sense of the chosen one is here. He's the guide. He's the one that's bringing this. But you can help and you can work as a part of that. But the ego makes some of these people feel like, because information can be shared, and anyone now is an expert on social media, on YouTube, because when we were putting out information by way of the master teacher in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, all the way to 2025, many of these people weren't even woke. They weren't awake. So it's great that they're putting information out, but when you probe and ask questions, like, why don't they have channels where anybody can go and ask them anything and put them on the spot? And do you know what I mean? Like, it's easy to follow, but to be the originator and to be like Parnabab Yanun, who is a visitor, he said from day one, he's not from here, and he can keep going with 76 trillion years of knowledge. You just have to do your research. Look at the works, look at how much knowledge he puts out on every subject, on every question that you can possibly ask, and has been doing this consistently for free for over 50 years and still going strong and telling us about things to come, and has been doing that consistently to the point where, like we say, we don't mind others, we don't mind other people sharing and spreading the knowledge, but they can only go so far. And I'm going to read a little excerpt from something for you. Listen to this. On December 22nd, 2032 is the date the meteor Apophis is coming. They will say it will not hit like they do, yet this one will hit the earth. You see? Like, now, I'm giving you information that's going to take place on December the 22nd, 2032. A lot of people are worried and talking about, three-eye atlas, but they don't give you, and you will see for yourself. Anyway, Parnabab Yanun will be back amongst us soon, and you will see who is the one. But yeah, so going back to that question, Wu-Sabat is completely in a league of its own. You can call yourself any name and any title and anything you want. Doesn't mean that it's true, and you have to put yourself in a position where people can scrutinize you, question you, and see if you really stand up to what you claim. So yeah, that's for you, Trend Snap. And you only know that once you really start to study and see the works that have been done. You see all these books we put out around, it's just to show you the level of works. All right, let's keep moving. Let's keep it moving. Okay, this is from Jeremiah Youngblood. Also, I noticed the birth of Jesus story relation with Jesus being under Amon, as explained by Parnabab. Was he only making the story connections for us as Jesus didn't exist? Oh, that's a great question. You know what it is? Like, people in a religious mindset have been programmed to think like there's only one. Like, you're Christian, so the Bible and the stories in the Bible is the only thing that is true and that matters. We're not saying, and I want to make this clear because sometimes we explain, because someone's saying because Jesus didn't exist. The question is, there were many, many Jesuses that existed. And just because you have a Jesus doesn't mean it's the same Jesus that we're talking about. You follow me? So in the Western world, in the Christianity, they talk about Jesus. And we've already debunked that. The word J, Jesus, there's no J's or V's in Hebrew, and they say he was a Jew. There's no J's. So the Romans and the Greeks have their Jesus. When we talk about Jesus, you have to know that word J didn't exist. So we're talking about Yeshua, who, when you translate the word, is savior, right? So you can have many saviors. You can have many messiahs. The word messiah means anointed. But what happens, as I said, each religion tries to claim everything for them and says, everyone follow us and follow me, or you're going to be damned to go to hell and suffer and all of this. By the same God they claim or allow that the being they claim to be all loving and kind and knows everything. So when we're talking about Amon, and I don't know if you meant Amun, but you said Amon. Amon is the ancient and mystic order of Melchizedek, which, as you said, Jesus in the Bible, the biblical character in the Bible, was a prince after the order of Melchizedek, you see? And Melchizedek was referred to as the king of Salem. Or the word Salem is the same word as Salam, the king of peace, yeah? A king is greater than a prince. And that ties back to the beginning for those who were here at the beginning when I was explaining about Melchizedek. And that ties into ancient Egypt, because we're talking about who we're calling on and talking about is the being known as Harar or Har Katwi. Yeah? This is why language is important, because when you break down the tones of vibration and the frequencies, you start to know that you're talking about a being known as Amun, as in, if you hear the word Tut Ankh Amun, where people talk about Tut, they say Tutankhamun, but it's Tut Ankh Amun, and this being is a reincarnation, and there were many beings, such as today we got Ptah, or the being known as Yanun, that is here is reincarnated or incarnated. It's a divine coming here in physical form as an Ila Mutajasid or an avatar. And he's here with the power to bring about this new sun cycle that takes place every 25 or 24,000 years, where the new cycle begins and all truth will be known and all false things will perish. It's a coming in of this new consciousness. So just think like this all the time. There are many Jesuses. There are many people referred to as the saviors. There were many people referred to as the messiahs. Your Messiah is not our Messiah, right? Our Messiah is the black Messiah that is here right now. And He's anointed. That's what the word Messiah means, to come and do a job, and he's doing it. And those who are able to sup with him and sit amongst him and study and learn, like all those characters in the Bible, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Joseph, they all went to Egypt to sit under and be taught amongst the elders that had this knowledge at that time in that particular cycle. And they are able to help and teach and civilize the entire world. This is what's happening now with the renewal of our story. So yeah, I hope that helps you. So yeah, different Jesuses existed for some people. Some of their Jesus are just characters on paper that didn't exist. Some of them are taken from real stories of the real people that existed, and we know those real people. That it's just different names and titles got distorted over time to now where it's so watered down, and people are using it to control other people and giving them false hopes and promises of someone coming to save them, when that's just a story. All right, let's keep going. How do I protect or fight off the negative energy that attack me mentally and sometimes physically? I talk to my ancestors and ask for help, but the attacks be so overwhelming. Again, without knowing you personally in terms of your habits, what you do, what you're not doing, and if you're putting the things into practice in the way that we're taught, this is one where you have to be a bit more closer. I'm not sure where you're based. This is for you, Drem C. Michael 8889. If you can go frequent to your nearest location and speak to people in person, because this is, a bit of a personal one. But if you're doing the right things and putting, we don't know exactly what you're doing, how you're doing it, so it's hard to, to really answer that question. So we'll have to get to know you more and get into like the details of what you're doing and how you're doing it. I don't know if that's a question. Jeremiah Youngblood, birth, oh Jesus, connection with birth of Melchizedek. It's not clear. Your question is not clear, but there are different time zones, because remember, Melchizedek, there are two actually different Melchizedeks in those religious books, but the one that we're talking about is the one that wrote the books of Malachi, talking about the Son of Righteousness coming with healing in his wings. We know today as Pana Babyanun. Free will is fake. Yeah, I guess in the sense of the word free, you do have will, which you utilize to make decisions, but the fact of it being free, yeah, because there are consequences to decisions that you make. It's when they say it's free and then comes with a condition or a consequence, that's what makes it not make sense, because you're told you've got free will, and the implication by saying that is to say that it's free for you to do anything. But you have will, which is undecided, right? So if you think about, let's think about a switch where it's in one place and you can turn it on or you can turn it off. When it's in the middle where it's not on or off, it's undecided. That's your will to do good or to do bad, or to do agreeable or to do disagreeable, which has been the theme of today. And so you do have will. It's just that in the religious world, they call it free will, which doesn't make sense, because they say you can choose to do anything, but then if you don't do what they say their religious deity says you should do, then you're going to get punished or you're going to go to hell. So you can say, if I choose to do disagreeable things, how is it free if I'm going to be punished for it, or there's going to be a consequence, because every action has what? An equal and opposite reaction. This is just dealing with the, science. And so, yeah, the problem is when people say free will. You have will, but it's not free, because there are consequences to your decisions and actions. Sometimes they're positive or good, sometimes they're negative or what people call bad. Yep, remember, we still haven't hit that 150. Don't you guys want to have 5 free membership to OSM Vision? So yeah, let's try and push. We still got 20 minutes left. Can we do it? All right, let's keep going. So the official Wu-Sabat Telegram channel is in the chat. Join that, because you can continue to ask your questions. We don't stop answering questions. We have many student teachers of the master teacher that help to answer as many questions as we can continuously, right? So join the Telegram group if you haven't done so. We post a lot of excerpts and diagrams and all kinds of things to help you get that clarity of your question in Wu-Sabat. Okay, Grayson Jockey 8125. My life changed after I started watching your videos. Finally, I am connected with my soul family. Fantastic. That's great to know. And that's what, once you're activated, you've got to then reach out, each one teach one, each one reach one, and let's keep helping others, okay? We're about spreading that love and unity worldwide. And you're watching from Kenya. Kenya in the house, that's fantastic. United Sabians worldwide. Okay, Telegram Wu-Sabat helped me connect the dots from the visions I was having since year 2020. This is where I belong. That's fantastic. Again, that's what I'm saying, man. People are telling you their testimonies and their experience. Wu-Sabat is real. This is like, it's no joke. It's down to you. If you want to, it's like, you go to school or you go to class, you can get down and be serious and study and graduate, or you can play the clown and play around and don't study and don't learn anything and just waste your own time. So, get into your reading and studying. My Kundalini activation was very severe, but I thank myself I didn't give up in search of my soul family. Yeah, you will be led and guided by way of your ancestors, by way of your inner being. If you trust your inner being and have the right intentions, you will find your way. Okay, Lady KJ9T. In the Holy Tablet, would you say that we're on the 5th thunder? Let me check quickly. I think we may be past the 5th thunder already, but let me just check quickly. So for those who don't know what's being said in the Holy Tablets at the back, there are the 7 thunders that explain many things. So the 7 plagues. Because of time, I'm only going to read the 5th one. The 5th thunder, 4 great people will perish. Floods, lightning, storms, tornadoes, landslides, hurricanes, hail in the summer, forest fires, children unaliving children, children unaliving their parents, rampant insanity and murders, and upsurge in drug addiction and demonic revivals parading themselves as righteous. El Nina, little girl, will come. 6th thunder, changes occur, the star people return. Yes, it's let me see. Yeah, change. Yeah, you're right. 6th thunder is changes occur, the star people return, signs in the skies, new planets, new galaxies, meteorite storms, climatic alterations, global warming, No, it sounds like we're in the sixth now. I'm reading that. Spiritual revival, presence of divine, disregard and respect. Yeah, we're in the sixth thunder right now. Yep. Not disregard and respect for present world governments, leadership, politics. Yeah, we're in the sixth thunder because it then says seventh thunder, the end of the world as you know it, the year 2030. Yeah, so we're in the sixth thunder right now. I will definitely confirm that. But if we're saying 2030 is what, only like literally nearly less than 5 years away, that would make sense to be in the sixth, and even the description. But yeah, I would say the sixth thunder, not the fifth, because El Nino already came. That was mentioned in the fifth thunder. All right, great question. Okay, Sakam Sanan Manthu Hatap, my good brothers in the house, helping to answer question for people. That's good because I can go on. Wow, we still got quite a lot of questions that haven't been answered. So let me try and catch up on the ones that. Oh, we got my good brother Nee in the house as well. Rahubat Zamalu or Zamal Tui. Good to have you on board. Let's keep going. Rahubat Saken. This is Nob S Top 5 Comparables B3. I don't know how some of you are making these names. 370. Rahubat Saken and all Sabians. Hope everyone is well and their journey is progressing beautifully. Tua Jamal and Tak. Thank you. Tawu. Thanks. Thank you. Chinyere. Thank you again. Delilah Neil 2647. Rahubat Musa from Florida. Rahubat. Okay. Oh my, if Anu is considered the Most High in the Bible, what name is used for the actual creator of all? I would hate to be calling on false God. This is you got to break the spell. There is no one person that is referring to as the all creator. I just lost the question. Where is it? Oh yeah, there you go. Oh my, if Anu is considered the Most High in the Bible, what name is used for the actual creator of all? I would hate to be... Right. When you're saying the actual creator of all, there is no... all is. You don't create all, because all is, and everyone and everything is a part of all. But what we know what you're trying to say, and that is our ancestors, the Natharu, the overseers that oversee all, everything on the planet. Greetings, caller. We have a caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question?
I called earlier.
You're breaking
Can I
up.
call again?
Yeah, of course. You can call as many times as you like.
Okay, you're talking about these thunders
Sorry, you're a bit
with
choppy. What? Could you repeat that, please?
No, I'm saying you're talking about the thunders.
The thunders, yes. Tour.
Yeah, at this moment is I'm echoing, but let me.
Yeah, you're coming
at this
in.
moment, it's like there's like a serious hurricane happening in Jamaica or the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
Are you aware of that?
I am indeed.
Okay, so how does this tie into what you are breaking down here?
The thing is, you can tell people all you like and anything, and people will react to the information differently. But Jamaica is a tiny island surrounded by water. Beautiful place. But when you're starting to look at weather conditions, hurricanes, I mean, this is a recurring thing. You know, there have been many hurricanes, and every year around about the same time. So it's not really wise to be. I'm not sure if you're aware of a map known as America, which was a map channeled by a young Christian girl that drew it out, which showed the future, and it shows many coastlines, many places will be underwater by way of, again, this is not doomsday, not trying to scare anyone, but with common knowledge and common sense, if you're surrounded by water and there's huge tsunamis and winds and stuff like that, you're actually in a vulnerable place. And this map shows a vision of the future, and many places when you're looking at what we're talking about, climate change, and you're looking at the ice melting, and you know there's going to be catastrophes, and many, as we read, tornadoes and volcanoes and earthquakes and many things. So you have to be very smart in terms of where you should be, and this is why we have a guide and we have someone who will determine and, you know, let you know where to be and what's safe. And we keep telling people to come in and be on the inside, because we can't give out all the details of things publicly. But yeah, we're aware of certain things are going to take place, and where it's going to be safe on the planet and where it's not going to be safe on the planet. So these changes are taking place as we know. So people have to decide using their own discernment where they should be. If you watch the movie 2012, it actually kind of gives you a visual representation of, you know,
Movie 20.
yeah,
I'm not familiar with.
yeah, there's a movie called 2012. I'd like you to watch it and then come back on the next live, and you will see why I'm asking you to watch that and see the end of the movie. And yeah, it'll give you a good visual representation of, you know, what's going on in the world right now. So we're living in a day and time where people have to know and be guided of where to be and where not to be.
So basically, we have to subscribe to your ideology before we can.
No, you don't have to. This is the thing with Wu-Sabat. You don't have to accept anything we say. It's up to you. Like, that's why I mentioned that part of that called the decision. It's your decision, and we're not trying to recruit followers, or we give out actual facts, the master secrets, and the way, the guide, which is what is best for you, but you choose whether you want to take it or not. So we're not in any competition with anybody. We know what we're saying is truth, and it's down to you if you choose to accept it or not accept it, or follow it or not follow it. But
well, this is why I called you, to if you can elaborate a little bit more about this Melissa, which is basically a child of what you referring to earlier on in your breakdown.
yes, obviously that we're not talking about that specific one, but it talks about the conditions and the changes of the world as we're moving to what is referred to as the end of the world, right? As you know it. That part is very important, because people have this impression of, when we say the end of the world, it's like everything is going to collapse. No, the world as you know it is changing, right? You can just see it all around you, all around the world. And this is referred to as in the Bible as the great and dreadful day of the Lord. You know, so many things are going to change, many things are going to take place. And I'm saying to you, I'm not saying that, okay, you already know what's going to happen when a hurricane comes through, right? Many people lose property, things are destroyed, even some people are unalived and some are not. And this happens frequently, not just in Jamaica, in other places as well. So I'm saying, if you have a inner ear, you have to listen to the angel and listen to the being that is here to guide you to safety, but you have to apply what's being taught. This is why I mentioned the books that they say, the books of prophecy of what's going to happen and so on. And I'm saying to you, you've got to learn what you need to do and where you need to be by way of what we teach. But if you choose not to, that's your choice entirely. That's your prerogative.
Okay, so you can assist
Yes, that's why
in
we're
any
here.
way at this moment in time? No, but I'm saying the incident is taking place right now, and what you are referring to is about future
Yes, but what I'm saying is,
endeavors.
where are you based?
Now I'm in London, bro.
Right, but what I'm saying, some people are in those places that are high risk because they know, obviously not everybody, I mean, if you're protected wherever you are, right? But what I'm saying is that,
Can I just cut you there, bro?
yeah, go ahead.
What does that mean? If you're protected, elaborate
Meaning
a bit more.
that, have you not, okay, every disaster or catastrophe that has taken place in the world, right? There are survivors, aren't they? So it
Yes.
wasn't their time to go at that moment. Even when you look at 9/11 and look at certain COVID and certain many things we can say that have happened.
Yeah, but the 9/11 and COVID were orchestrated by human beings. Are
It
you
doesn't
saying
matter
that
if
is
you
natural?
have that opinion. The point I'm making is many people didn't make it and many people did. So what makes the people that made it make it? There are people that can fall out of an aeroplane and survive. And there are people that would just fall and trip over on the ground and don't survive. So what I'm saying to you is, if you're in tune and connected with your ancestors and with the right beings, you will be guided, especially if you're applying Wu-Sabat. But to go into the details of how that's going to happen, you have to be, this is why even the Bible talks about many are called and few are chosen. Not everyone is going to be able to make it in that regard. So I'm saying to you, excuse me, that people are being warned with certain things that are taking place year in, year out. If you choose to still be in a place or, put yourself at risk, then that's your decision, isn't it?
So basically, what you're saying, we should not be in jail around this time. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not giving you like do this or do that. All I'm saying is, if I was surrounded by water and there are risks of tsunamis and hurricanes and you've got to make a choice and decide. It's like okay, let's leave Jamaica for a minute. If you live in, say, Los Angeles or somewhere where there's always earthquakes on a higher, the Richter scale of very high, and this happens all the time. And every time earthquakes happen, people get unalived or they lose their property. Like, why would you still want to be in an area that this happens all the time? Of course, not everybody will be in a place by choice. Now we know that we're living in the day where Babylon the Great is falling, right? The empire is coming down, the Babylonian Empire. Now, if you know this and you can see what's happening and going on all around you, fires everywhere, as we mentioned, you know, so much chaos, and like, why would you choose to remain in a place that you can see clearly coming to a state of, you know, somewhere that it's not safe? I'm just saying, like, you got to decide for yourself as a person that, but of course, you see people migrating all the time, running from war zones, trying to take refuge in other places. In fact, there's a big thing about immigration at the moment all over the place in most governments and countries. So what I'm saying to you is, if you're guided and amongst the people that are listening to the warner, to the guide, then you will be guided. And it's down to you whether or not you listen or you don't. At the time, I'm not saying this is the end, but if something's happening over and over and over and over again, you've got to decide, don't you? You have to make that decision for
No,
yourself.
well, with all due respect, brother, point taken. Okay, I fully understand what you're saying. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So thank you for your time. Yeah.
No problem. We've run out of time anyway. Let me just scan through quickly and see if there are any quick questions. The world changes, you know it. Facts. Think for yourself. Ask what you would like to know exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that question, Daniel, I'm going to answer that for the last one. I have a question. Will people all around the world unite over being controlled by governments and religion divide or the creator? Or this is what we're saying. This is what's happening in the world right now. Like, you only really have ascending and descending beings, and those that are in tune, that are going to, because it's about the vibration, as I mentioned before, with the higher consciousness will help. But regardless, we're living in a world where the old world, that's why it says the end of the world as you know it. You have to decide what you're calling world. Is it your borough? Is it your city? Is it your country? Is it dealing with like consciousness? Like, what is your world? And yes, unification, getting rid of things that divide us, dealing with ashuk love, divine love, is the way we can change our fate, F-A-T-E, not with blind faith, F-A-I-T-H. That is why we're in the conditions we're facing right now, because of disunity, divisions, and all those negative things that separate people. And on that note, I want to give mad ashuk to everyone that has tuned in. Unfortunately, we didn't get the 150. We'll try again next week. Same time, same place. Tune in to OSM Vision. And if you didn't get your questions answered today and you would like to send 3 questions in, you know you can always do that too by filming yourself asking 3 questions, uploading them to osmvision.wetransfer.com, and we will get those questions answered for you. You can always book one-to-ones as well with myself. You can do private ones and you can do public ones and share them to the world, all right? So until next week, same time, same place. Wadu Moisar.